I'm going to talk about a group of fellow Americans whose plight and rights are likely unknown to you. They work for thousands of hours but are not paid for their labor. And would you believe this is still legal to not pay people and to give them the same and to not give them the same legal rights as paid workers? I will tell you the name of the group a little bit later, but doesn't this remind you of indentured servitude? 157 years after slavery ended, this group of law-abiding citizens has fallen through the cracks, although California's minimum wage is $15 per hour and the federal minimum wage is $77.25 per hour. With all the labor laws and equal employment opportunity protections on the books, why does this loophole still exist, which allows even the richest employers to not pay this X group of workers? To tell you a little bit of my own personal story, I was a paid worker for 40 years, but didn't know about the plight of this group until I became one of them during the pandemic. In my previous career in the computer industry, I used to make a six-figure salary, but then I decided to go back to graduate school to pursue my dream of becoming a therapist. Did you know that if you want to get a master's degree in social work, you have to work over 1,000 hours for free? This unpaid internship is a mandatory requirement set by the Council of Social Work Education, who justifies this as an on-the-job training. Now you know the unknown people that I'm talking about today. They are the millions of unpaid interns in almost every field, including journalism, entertainment, business, media, public relations, finance, healthcare, and psychology. Some of the interns in some of the fields are paid, but most of the interns in most of the fields are not paid, including my own field of social work. My fellow interns told me stories about how they were frequently mistreated by supervisors as if they were undocumented workers in sweatshops. The intern does not have a grievance process, and it is nearly impossible to get our school to transfer us to a different agency or supervisor once we start our internship at a particular location. We are frequently treated like second-class and third-class citizens who do not deserve to get paid. Hundreds of social work students from my university work as interns at mental health clinics, crisis intervention centers, homeless shelters, hospitals, prisons, and schools. We provide essential services to vulnerable communities, but in the process, we ourselves become marginalized and exploited. After we leave those unpaid internship positions, other people who fill in our jobs do get paid, but they are not called interns because they are not called interns. At $15 per hour for the 1,000 hours worked, an intern loses $15,000. But this is not called wage theft, though this money gets stolen from vulnerable young people who end up paying back their student loans for 20 years on average. This adds to the burden of the $1.7 trillion student debt crisis. Us interns leave internships empty-handed and with empty pockets. Later, the supervisor or agency might not write us a letter of recommendation, which we need to get a paid job. So the intern feels squeezed and exploited in many ways from beginning to end. Social workers are supposed to advocate for social justice, but interns seem to be an excluded group. I leave you with 2 points. Number one, implicit and explicit biases are baked into the label of intern. Once a person gets branded with this label, they get put down at the bottom of the socioeconomic hierarchy of society as a vulnerable group. Number two, interns need a Bill of Rights, which should also guarantee fair play instead of free labor. We are the nobodies you haven't heard of, and nobody is advocating for the nobodies.